organize the things here. Ruth didn't want to show up. Let me know if you can hear me well. Running a bit of a weird setup here, so because it's going to be painting, so I'm seeing myself on the screen over there, but thank you so much. I am seeing your chats in front of me, and they should show on the screen, so in a second, we'll figure out if that works. I'm going to do a painting demo, as the title suggests. It's been a while. Looks like the mic's okay. Looks like audio, everything runs fine. Yeah, I can hear myself a bit delayed. Good. Okay. Good. You tell me. You let me know if there are any issues. Oh, hey, I see Steve here. It should show on the screen. Okay. Yeah. It does show on screen. Just a little bit delayed. Okay. So hey, Steve, finished German lesson, chores, and painting in time for the live broadcast. So thank you so much for being here. I can hear you fine. Thank you. Hey, Hillel. Hey, Idria. Thank you for being here. I'm going to jump into it in a few seconds. We'll allow a few more seconds for people to get in. I think I will zoom in a little bit. So yeah, that's a little better. You can see more of the screen. So hey RK, hey Colette, how are you doing from France? How are you doing, RK? Hope everything is well. So I have this scene here. If there are any trouble, again, you let me know. But what we're gonna do is paint it. Should I turn off the autofocus? Because I'm not gonna be needing to change it that much. Let me make it not autofocus. Yeah, I think that's better. Lisbeth can't hear, but the auto captions are working. Oh, that's cool. Are there auto captions for a live stream? I didn't know that's a thing, but awesome. You can read. Hey from Russia, thank you for being here. Hey John, how are you doing? Thank you so much. So I have this scene here. It's an interesting one. What kind of grabbed my attention is first off all of this orange and all of this red and just a bunch of fun colors to explore together with the blues. You know, it's always nice to have that bit of contrast in temperature. And my goal is, I actually made 2 quick sketches. So we're just gonna give it a go and then do another one if necessary. I do plan for this to be about an hour long because I have a few things in my schedule that I have to wrap it up at that point. Let me close the door here. Again, a different setup I'm not used to. Only in Chrome browser. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know it's possible. I'm using Chrome as well. Pascal, hey, Pascal from France, thank you for being here. So yeah, my plan is to give it a go. I'm gonna try painting directly and following my instinct in a way. That's something I've been trying to develop and improve, my ability to just paint based on my instinct and what feels right, using colors that encourage me to paint. So I have some bright oranges here with me. The audio may be off when I'm farther from the mic, so you'll have to forgive me for that. Jan's art, yeah, you're looking like a fun painting. Yes, indeed. So let's look at some colors just to figure out what we're gonna use. Again, if there's any issues, technical or other, you let me know. So I do have this bright orange, and one good thing about starting from a very bright color is that you can then mute it. So it's very hard to go the other way around sometimes, and it's hard to produce a very bright color from a very muted initial color. There's no reason to battle your paints and torture yourself. There's no reason to do any of that. So we're gonna start with some nice relatively strong colors here. I do have, I'll probably use a dual palette here, honestly, because I'll be needing some of my paints from the other palette. So if I place that like this, you can see a bit of that side under the chat. It's not really that important, honestly. It's more about what's going on paper, but there we go. We have some French ultramarine. We have some phthalo blue. And then what I'd like to also introduce is some quinacridone, of course. You can see some of it in some of the rooftops. I'm going to go over all of my paints, kind of let them start breathing. I do want to use some yellows as well. I find these interesting. Adria, I always keep a nice bright orange in my palette for the same reason. Yes, it's very useful. It's a very useful color to have. And I have two yellows here, so I have a new gamboge, beautiful, beautiful yellow, and then something more lemony. And this is pretty much the colors I'll be using with all the nuances of the in-between, right? So there's going to be a lot of muted colors. So I'll do my best to narrate, but honestly, when you do this approach of just painting based on instinct, sometimes it can, I won't lie, it can be a bit challenging to narrate everything I'm doing. But I'll do my best. So let's get going here. I will start with a nice bright orange. And I'm gonna drop it here. You'll see in a second. Gonna come a little stronger. And we get something like this. I'm gonna make it, of course, a little cleaner. Actually, you don't even have to use my well. I can just go directly here because it's such a strong paint. And I'll just start dropping color in. Now, when I'm here, you may not be able to hear me as well, so my apologies about that. May make talking and painting at the same time hard. You'll forgive. Plus, I kind of need to focus, I find. So this here is fun because I'm going to immediately transition to that rooftop right next to it without any breaks. See? Very rich, nice color. I like doing it this way. You can decide what you want to split, what you want to keep kind of connected. And ideally, I'd love to be able to flow around the entire painting this way, actually. Not just, from one shape to the one next to it, but all throughout the painting if I look at it from a more outer perspective. So let's do this. Let's switch over to some yellow here. Actually, more of the new gamboge yellow. And I'm going to drop it here. Muted just a bit. Still gamboge though. And I'll add a bit of warmth. Now I can lift a bit if I don't want it to go as dark. So there we go. And why not put in a bit of darkness? I'll mix it using my blue and quinacridone. I'm using my brush upside down right now, so it's a little disorienting, but it's a fun experience. And drop a bit of it here to make that nice little separation. And we've got something going. You see it starts to get some colorfulness and some, small detail there. Now I'll use a nice little gray here. Now I'll go then to a bit more blue right here. And again, I love to just, I'm gonna tilt this a bit and just continue with the wash. Now the tilting to the right, what it does is it makes sure it doesn't bleed too much into the blue, okay? This, and it will move more to the right rather than the left, if that makes sense. And I love painting like this, just, grabbing the paper and working very freely. I've been not taping it for a while now, actually. And I find that it works really nicely. I'm going to transition to that same gray from before, down here at the bottom. I'm going to keep things a little simple there. Sometimes I'll just get a sense of speed things up. I want to speed things up, so let's go with that sense. Bit of a dirty orange here. As we reach the edges of the painting, at least for me, I love to start getting things a little more flowy and looser. So I'm literally putting in the paint in different spots here. So I will gradually improve my setup for doing these kinds of videos where I'm painting live like that. Setup is still kind of not perfect. But you see these areas where you go a little looser, they add so much charm to it. This here is just a white shape, so I don't need to do much, but I can go ahead and put this here. Maybe even put a window or two and wrap corner up almost. A lot of the beauty will come from the negative shapes around it. So look at that. Once we put in this red here for the background, add a bit of blue to it as well, and a bit of yellow. A bit of the orange here. Yeah, that's good. And even if this edge is a little wet still, you could be fine, It won't bleed too much necessarily. Like this, that. Let me move this a bit. Actually, I'll move the whole thing to the left a bit so you can see the palette still. But in any case, there we go. Now this shape is going to carve out the shapes of the rooftops up front. It's going to be something. Go. Now, the interesting thing is you might do this kind of a process and at some point figure out you're not really sure where you're going and whether what you're doing is going to amount to anything. That's the stage where your patience is kind of being tested. And often, you just continue doing the thing you're doing, it will work out. So that's where you don't want to stop. You want to continue. Now I'm going to take a break, look at the chat for a while, see what's up. I'm starting to get sweaty because of the thinking about tons of stuff simultaneously. Richard Bennett, hey, how are you? Amy Lynn Hess. When you did the drawing, did you plan where you want a focal point, harder edges? Yeah, so the thing that attracted me to this scene was the warmth and coolness, the differences in temperature. So I definitely am paying attention to areas that have both blues and oranges right next to one another. So for example, here, those areas definitely pique my interest. So that's what I planned on maybe being a focal point, but to be honest with you, I am going very, Very intuitive. Figuring it out as I go along, really. No, that's... I'll get the fan going. As soon as I start painting and talking like this, and it's live, I get sweaty immediately. Matt says, thanks, Liron. Your videos have helped me so much. Thank you so much. Boobychuck, thank you for doing the demo as you paint. Even in the first few minutes, I got some useful tips. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Adria, I always keep a nice bright orange in my... Oh, yeah, we talked about that. Yep. Very useful. So you see, it starts looking like something. Now, one thing... I love, at least to be able to do, is at some point to almost zoom out and just go a little more free there. So let me show you what this looks like. I probably will not talk for a few minutes, but I think it's worth doing. So yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to write them down, of course. I'll answer as soon as I'm done with this stage. These rooftops are very purple. I love that. The way it looks with orange works really well. Look at this edge. This is so fun, letting them blend together. And I can tilt, of course, to prevent some of it, but I actually like it. And you don't have to use one color for a building. You can go ahead and vary up the mix, see what you get, you know. The magic is there. I'm trying to paint around windows, but honestly, if I miss some, and I'm going to miss a lot, what I end up doing is adding them later on. It's much better than, you know, struggling, is what I find at least. This is going to be a highlight, like not in a literal highlight sense, but a highlight for the painting. In my opinion, it's going to look so nice. How it blends together. It adds a lot of interest, you know. Bit of that separation there. On we go. That's close. And I'll probably end up with something fairly light once it all dries, because I'm not really trying to push the values that much. So I may decide to kind of keep this high key. Oh, this is nice. Let's see if I can make use of that. So do you see there's a bit of a blue stripe there? I'm just gonna add it in near the edge. And some of it will show later on, once it dries. one big thing about this kind of a scene is just the patterns. You know, there are tons of different patterns all around it. If you enjoy that kind of a thing, it's so fun. If you don't, you probably would like to not paint something like that, because it can be a little exhausting if you don't like it as much. Just honestly speaking. So don't feel like you need to paint something like this if you don't like it. There's absolutely no reason to do that. I'm sticking to that small brush way too long. Just lately I started realizing just how different of an experience it is to just paint as opposed to talk and paint. It's so different. And it always feels, I talked about this a few times before, it feels to me like I'm getting worse at doing both simultaneously. Like I was better at it in the past than I am now. And I don't know why that happens. Maybe I'm just more focused during painting, so because I'm noticing more things, or I'm more ambitious with what I'm trying to incorporate, or I don't know, I'm not sure. Now, one thing you can do is, if you really want to make sure something's dark enough, you stay there. Just stay there for a while. You don't have to leave this rooftop. You can continue working at it until it looks really good to you. And one more thing I would say is the whole, the painting process doesn't need to be anything. It doesn't have to be this way or that way, or, there are really no rules. So one of these possibly unnecessary rules is the linear process. You have to work top to bottom, or a certain direction, or, there are some rules of nature. Gravity will move the paint down. That doesn't mean you have to paint from top to bottom. That's just a rule that you want to think about. How am I going to use this? And find a thing that works for you, so to speak. I see a bit of blue there, so I'm going to do this. Then back to some orange. I hope seeing this is interesting. It's, I haven't thought about it much, but this isn't necessarily the most fascinating process. But I when I see something I love, I just go for it and I paint that. Now this is a bit lighter, the bottom of the rooftop. There's going to be a lot of bleeding top to bottom, that's fine. Little coolness here. And I would like to see more yellow there. So I think that's what we're going to focus on, especially with this rooftop. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to place some yellow before everything else. I can make a spot for that yellow. Now look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to place the yellow in the few spots I see it. Of course, the bigger you paint, the more accurate you can be, the more details you can add. That's part of it, so have that in mind. I'm working relatively small here. And I'm just going to place, see, the reddish, it could be more orange actually, parts of the roof in one go. And I let it touch the yellow shape I put. Again, I find that I really enjoy these types of things. And we actually have some blue there. We actually have some coolness around the bottom. So I'm going to make use of that as well in a second. So Sometimes I'll have a color in, I'll just continue working with that, even though there's no blue really there. I'm gonna let it dry and see what happens. Let's do 1.5 more, and then I'll look at some chats here. And then we have a bit more of an orange around the edge. This. And a bit of coolness down below. And we'll let it rest for a few seconds. So let's see what you're saying. Michael, thanks for doing a live demo. I find that they help dispel questions that arise from demos that are not in real time. Seeing how long folk wait in between washes and things is important for beginners. Yeah, it can kind of throw you into a tailspin of thinking that things happen faster than they do. When I actually paint, I work fast but also slow. Very often you need to slow down significantly to make sure that you are either in control or you have a plan to execute and you're not sure how to do it. So yeah, sometimes I'll work very slowly. Sometimes I'll work very fast too, but it's definitely not, I would say, the norm or a specific way that beats the other. It really is what the situation calls for. And if you look at a lot of demos that just go fast, you may end up thinking that's how everyone paints, and that's how you should paint and all of that. So yeah, happy I can help. Love this painting already. Thank you. It could be interesting to do. You know what? Maybe because I like this one a lot. So maybe I'll keep the other one. I'll do another version while not filming and to show you the difference. Because I can paint with way more freedom and focus when I don't just the thought that someone's looking, and I have to put up a good show or stuff like that. It taints the clarity of the process always. It's just something that's gonna happen. So ironically enough, the best results I can show you are those that I cannot share the process with. Usually when I do something real nice and people ask, do you film it? And my answer is no. Filming is one step closer than doing it live, because then I don't have to talk. I don't need to have the mic here. I can just do this. But it's still the best thing is to just paint, not think about anything else really. But that's fun. Look at this red. How big of a role I gave it, and it commands now. It's not that strong, right? It's not even a red really. This red, if anything, is stronger, but I went for this one as the strong dominant one. So I placed it dead in the middle. We're gonna have here a nice blue, which is gonna be a nice contrast from that red. So that's a focal point possibly. A lot of interesting things going on here. Now where it's gonna really shine is probably once I get to the to add some shadows where necessary. I'm gonna keep them very few, but yeah. Hey Nancy, thank you so much again. Buck, hi Liron, I see some watercolor artists put their light wash over the entire paper first, then middle values, and lastly the darks. Is this live demo the way you always do a scene like this? Not always, but I enjoy this kind of a process a lot more very often. Sometimes I'll enjoy tinting the paper, but for scenes like this where it's just tons of fragments, I don't see the point really. So I'll focus on local areas of flow, if that makes sense. I'll focus on the flow in some specific areas, and it's okay if it has a hard edge in those areas, but still within those areas you do see some flow. That's the way I like to approach it. But sometimes I will do an overarching wash, Hey Laura, good morning to you too. Adria, thank you so much. Elizabeth, I've always wanted to make a patchwork quilt, but this is much better and so much quicker. Yeah, definitely quicker. As electronic, loving the vibrant colors. Thank you. Irma, sorry I missed the beginning. I'd love to have the courage to paint something like this. Yeah, I honestly think if you give it a go a few times, you'll realize if it's for you or not. I think a lot of people who think they don't have the courage, it's not even a courage thing, it's more of a willingness to try it once, twice, seeing how it goes. I think if you just have that, you'll honestly probably do really well. And you do want to check out the frustration-free watercolor course. I'm going to switch palettes here. The frustration-free watercolor course. Cannot recommend anything more than that. For this kind of loosening up, for this kind of more patchwork painting, it really was meant for that, to get you to paint like this more directly, more fearlessly. You want to check that out. The link is always in the description box. It's interesting. I don't remember how many people I have in it right now. It's thousands probably. But, you know, there are, 200,000, 240 something, 50 something subscribers here. So a lot of people have not checked it out yet. So if you really aim to master watercolor, make it today, the day where you at least get over the hump of looseness. You know, you owe it to yourself. Because once you do, a lot of things open up to you and you can start really experimenting. So I'd highly recommend. Of course, I'm biased. It's my own course, but I recommend you give it a try. Bing Bing Wahoo, I love that username. This live stream is doing more for my morning pep than the coffee I just had. Cheers. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Henny, I haven't been in a live in ages. Oh, that's cool. So it's a good one to join because I'm doing painting finally. Interesting subject. What's the inspiration? Just saw this picture, thought it would be fun to play around with the temperatures mainly. We'll actually carry it all the way almost to its end soon. This can all be painted very fast, you'll see. Sometimes I'll zoom out perception-wise, and I'll just see things as the abstract shapes they are, and you may get to witness it. I'm gonna do it ceremoniously. I'm gonna move the mic and work on it almost as I would if no one was looking. I'd try at least, and see if I can get to show you what it looks like. Irma says this looks super challenging. Thank you, Liron. Thank you for being here. Henny, I find I enjoy painting more when the sun is out in the spring, summer. Oh, cool. Yep, everyone has their preferences. Let's see. And the greens and the blues in the picture will pop out the reds and are so beautiful. Thank you. I didn't even put any green yet, I think, but maybe in a second or two. Hey, Sujanith. I need to give you the link to the Discord. I'll make a new link and I'll share it. And I know you emailed me too. Sorry, I missed that. But yeah, I'll try and do that ASAP. I missed a few messages. Cubs win. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for your talent. Have you tried Mijello professional watercolors? I like lessons from an artist who loves them. So yeah, Mijello, no. My bucket is Mijello. My palette is Mijello, but I haven't tried the paints yet. Their products seem to be high quality, and as Laura, I think, commented, yes, they're good. So yeah. So Janith, Liron, your last video on still life of vegetables on edges connections was excellent. Thank you. That's great feedback. It's one of those videos when I release it, I know not as many people will watch it, but I know the ones who watch it will benefit greatly from it because it does show what's at the heart of making something look good. That's the shortest way of saying it. April, first time here, looking to improve as a beginner. Oh, that's awesome. Welcome aboard. We're doing a lot of... I don't do many painting live streams, so it's a good occasion to join. I will do more now that my setup is working pretty much. But yeah, mostly tons of videos. Trying not to tell you what to do, but rather inspire you to find the way that works for you. And yeah, so let's get to it. I'm gonna move the mic. You'll forgive me. I'll just move it back a bit. Sorry for that noise. I'll try and work a little more freely here, just to get a major dent in and try to almost do it as if I would do it when no one's here, no one's watching. We'll see if I can do it. I don't even know if I can, because it's tough. Pretend, you know. By the way, I have to comment, this is how I make use of my leftovers. I need a dark, cool color. I'm just picking up whatever I had here, and it's perfect for that. You'll, you'll notice I ended up with a cool and warm puddle. This will often happen, and I'll end up reaching to either one I need at a specific point. So here, I'm going to put a shape, and you see it's not warm enough, so I'm going to grab a little more warmth, add that in, and then continue like this. Now, I tried paint as if no one's watching. I actually failed. I feel myself working fast. It's fine, it's fine. But I feel myself working differently. I guess it's just a challenge for me right now. It doesn't mean, you can still produce a good result, right? It's just not gonna be the cleanest in a way. And here down below, I'm not gonna mess with it too much. We have the orange. very muted now because it's so much at the bottom. I'm gonna keep hinted at. This is enough of a focal point in a way. But yeah, we have a big gap here, so let's close that off. I wanted to continue progressing with this area and ended up doing this area. Sometimes I'll just reach out to whatever paint I feel like. It won't have real logic. So don't try and find a lot. Sometimes it's just not there. Flip. Thank you, April. Yeah, I try to always share full processes if I can. They're far more valuable. Get a bit of a green going. Kind of an off-green green. That looks nice. Now, you'll notice there are a lot of white gaps that are just the windows. So I'm going to fill those in a second. Those are the gaps that I left for the details in the windows. This thing here. Yeah, one careful line can really improve things. It's crazy. Okay, now I'm starting to feel like I'm working a little too tight. So, do I want to kind of go crazy up there, or no? There's no need to. No need to go crazy. Well, it's like a threat. Let me mix. Lisbeth, a reference photo for each of the next 7 days and stick to it. Oh yeah, okay. Where we. Um, Thank you, Kate. You like the vegetable video as well. Thank you. So, Janine Liron, what's your opinion on Stonehenge Aqua Watercolor paper? I tried it out. I liked it. I liked Stonehenge. They actually sent me a sample. I contacted them and asked for it. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's a bit hard to compare, to. It doesn't feel like Arsh or Saunders Waterford. It feels a little different. Not in a bad way, but it does feel different. But yeah, that's what I can pretty much say about it. Advice on knowing when to have hard and soft edges. There is no, when to do this and when to do that. It will depend on what you feel like is the right call. Very different based on the situation you're in. It's gonna vary greatly. So yeah. One thing to note is that, looser and smoother transitions make for less focus. They call for less focus. They look out of focus. They command less attention. So you can use that, as a means if you choose to. I find it interesting to place a lot of smooth, soft transitions in the middle sometimes too. So everything is going to be very breakable as a rule. Mother Superior, so cool. Thank you. Answer Janith. Liron, what aspect of this reference inspired you? The color, the warm and cool, warms and cools. I mentioned it a bit before. Warms, cools, orange, blue, that kind of a thing. In the middle, the gray in the middle. Regina, I struggle with making a choice for reference photos, and that costs me serious painting time. How can I be faster? How do you choose your photos? Quick and easy. By understanding that the photos do not matter, you can paint just about anything. It's not about the photo; it's about you. The painting is you. It's not. It's more you than it is the photo. That's something that I think is very easy to forget. The painting is more of the artist. Now you are yourself, and you're gonna bring yourself to whatever you're gonna paint. So might as well paint whatever is in front of you. It really doesn't matter. I find that pickiness in subject matter and in photos is more really procrastination, like someone else wrote here. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if you figure out why you procrastinate, that may solve it for you. So yeah, I hope that helps. On a more practical side, I like to take my own photos a lot, so I always have something I'm curious about painting. But yeah. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Adria. So I know what to do. I would have done this roof on the bottom more greenish. Yeah, this one probably. So I know what I'm gonna do, kind of a hybrid approach. Where I'll, for the top section, where I'll do some very fast fast details, and then also some slower ones, but it's gonna flow nicely together, you'll see. So let's go for it. We'll see what happens. as you notice, I'm kind of going crazy. I'm doing a lot of nonsense just to see what will happen, honestly. Wasn't expecting to do this, but felt that's what I felt like doing. Sorry about that. The fun thing is, after you're done with this kind of a crazy layer, you can actually go back more at ease and start plopping in some details that will anchor it and make it look a little more uh, like the reference. One of the beautiful things about watercolor is that it does allow you to do that kind of a thing um, with a bit more flow and a bit mess, and then come back and start organizing things. You ask me what you're looking at, a bit hard to say. But yeah, let's let this dry for a few moments, see what's up. I'll probably choose an area, add a few details to that, and then we'll wrap it up. Unfortunately, I am on a stricter time frame today. Let's see here. Damn it, that's a much better answer. Thank you. Happy I could help. No, but your answer is good too. Pascal, some artists place the shadows first, others do the opposite, and end up with these. I would like your opinion on this. Yeah, if some people do it this way, other people do it that way. Both work. What that teaches us is that both ways are valid. So dependent on the subject matter, what I like about the subject matter, my own mood. It depends on so many different factors. It's very hard to say. Um, but yeah, I wonder if I should just pause and continue this in a separate live stream, just bring it to completion there, because there is quite a lot of work actually. There's a lot of things that I can do. Um, Let me show you an example. So I'm going to zoom in here on an area. So I'm looking at this area, for example, and there's a lot that can be done just with these details. Let me show it to you actually. By adding these dormers in properly and then connecting the shadow to the bottom section, you can do so much. So if I start with let's say a muted, blue, and now I'm working on a much smaller scale, so I can take my time more and careful. That's actually pretty close. So here's something I can do. I can start with the details. And then switch over to a nice red, a dark, and connect these together. and you start developing the sense of three-dimensionality. See? And you can do, and I'll show it to you. You see, and you can do this a little more carefully, working small areas, being a little more accurate. Maybe doing some wet in wet while you're at it, if you want to add some shadows, for example, to the top here. So there's actually quite a bit that can be done like this, step by step, a little slower, more measured process. Here's another great example, just under it, of this lovely brown. I can just kind of plop in there, make the separation between the roofs much clearer, right? And that's how you slowly start establishing a focal point. The area you focus on tends to get that, right? So here I did get the nice value change, but in many other places I haven't, and that's a great opportunity to use. So I'm actually considering, why not we stop it here, and I'll save the finalizing touches to next week. What do you say? I think that's a good idea, because I don't want to do it too fast, and I'll do it fast now because I need to wrap up soon. So I think that's what we'll do. And if you take anything from this, is for the next stage, it's this, right? It's starting to establish these small shadows in select areas. I think that will be a good way. But we have a few more minutes. If I start this wash, it's gonna take a while. So what I can do instead is like 5 to 10 minutes of seeing. If you have any other questions, ask them now. It's a good time, and we'll get those, and then we'll wrap up and continue next week at a leisurely pace to slowly establish these individual shapes. You'll see it's going to look fantastic. Because a lot of so right now we achieved a lot of interesting colors, so we have something to look at. But once you start putting in the values, and you see for some of these I captured it, but for many I didn't. So it's still, the three-dimensionality is still unclear. Once we put that in, it's going to look a world difference. It's going to look so much better. So like, look at how, if you look at a reference photo in this area, look at how this rooftop and this rooftop, they're all framed by a very dark shadow on these areas on the right. And as soon as you start establishing the same shadows like we did here, it's gonna make this beautiful diagonal separation. And then if we're gonna add another stage and bring back some lost highlights, you can really establish a nice sense of three-dimensionality, and that's something you can do with a great flow as well. So let's do that. Nancy, thanks, Liron, sounds like a good plan. Kate, what type of brush and size are you using? I was using for this process 2 brushes only, pretty much. This Skoda Barocco size 16 and Perla size 10. These are from the what do you call these? The plein air sets, but you can get a version of these that isn't planar. It's planar because it's collapsible. I can basically collapse, close them, fold them, whatever you want to call them. So yeah. Those are the ones I used mainly for this project. Adria, thank you for such a nice start to my morning. John, thanks for another great live stream. Thank you. Adria, it's so vibrant and beautiful. Thank you. He says continue now. Irma, hi Liron, what brush are you using for this painting? If you don't mind me asking. Yeah, I answered that. Kate, thank you so much. Jacqueline, how are you doing? Just joining. I thought he was painting an abstract. Now I see the houses and roof. So cool how the eye and mind can work together. Yeah, and as soon as I'm going to add more values to it, it's going to look much more three-dimensional again. Hi, Liron, when do you correct paintings? If I feel like there's something to correct, if I don't like something about them. Or, correct. Could be painting another version. It could be improving a few things with opaque paint, which I do for most of my paintings. Floresita, I enjoy this live so much. I love what you do. Thank you so much. Liron, for the details, you won't be doing them everywhere, will you? Yeah, I'll probably focus on this area, maybe a bit here, but for the most part, I'll do these where I want them to really shine. So this is a great area to focus on. Again, just real quick. So if I do the same thing I just did for these, we're gonna have. Don't worry, I'm not gonna do much because I already said I'm gonna wrap up. But see, I have these blue shadows here. no, bluish. And there's another one here. And you see how once I place those in, it's going to frame this rooftop as a much lighter one. And that's the beauty. And then I'm going to grab a bit of the vibrant red here. Orange too, I think. And once I put those shadows in diagonal, connect them, let the washes kind of flow together. That's fun. See how it creates a nice frame and brings more attention to this rooftop. And of course, there are some shadows here. That brings out the shape a little. All of these things that slowly build the right contrasts and the right lights and darks and so on. Keegan, hi Liron, I'm always stuck in the ugly stage. What's the best way to get over that stage? To understand it's not the end of the painting. The painting ends when you decide it ends. So you can just continue. No one told you to stop. And you can do so much, by darkening, you'll bring back highlights. By adding lighter paint, using opaquely, however you want to use it, you'll bring back the darks. You can do so much. Honestly, and I've done this before for students. I bet that if you bring me a painting that you dislike, for probably 80% of the paintings that will be brought to me, I can probably take them to a point of completion where you, the person who painted the original, will love the result. I'm pretty sure I can do that. So, yeah, it's an illusion, and you keep going. Now, if you don't enjoy the process or you just want to stop, then you stop. Take a break. Whatever works for you. But the painting isn't over until you decide it is. So you can do so much. One more thing I will say: if you're often getting stuck in, I wouldn't say just ugly stage, but confusing stage. You don't have to paint such a large thing. What you can do is, if you look at my reference here, you can choose like maybe the lower quadrant of my reference, just this area, for example, and just focus on that. So you can place more of your focus on a more limited area, and that way maybe produce a bit of a better result because you're more focused on it, right? Some people will have that work for them. Others won't. So you want to figure it out for yourself. The 3D effect you're talking about, oh yeah, sorry, a bunch of messages. Adria, it's so vibrant and beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, John, once again. Where was I? Why you use a dirty palette? Oh, I've shown earlier. If I need a dark paint or a muted paint, it's very easy to just re-wet an area that had paint in it and use that. So it actually makes things a lot easier. Now, if you want to produce a very clean paint, I'll sometimes clean a section of my palette, not even all of it, and that's enough for me. You got it, Keegan. Floricida, you're on for the details. You won't be doing them everywhere. Yes, yes, exactly. Okay, yes, we got that. Okay, yeah, so this is a good point to pause this one. I will set it aside, and next week, if not next week, then one after, I don't know, for some reason I don't stream, we'll take this to its completed stage by adding the shadows and adding the details, mainly focusing again on the areas where I want the focal point. We can make a lot of corrections like this, how it bled. If you don't like it, you can re-wet again in the lift. There's a lot of things you can do. Adding like small things like this, like there's a white border around. I lost my live stream. There's a white border, for example. Where was it? Okay, there are some highlights on top of this thing here. So if you lost them, all you have to do is just draw them in. And all of these small details, they really add up to a picture that makes sense. This is what you have to understand. These small steps accumulate, okay? So yeah. Laura, going to mail Liron a bunch of ugly paintings. Yeah, go ahead. Adria, thanks again for the stream. Look forward to the next time. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Again, if you want to just get looser, the frustration-free watercolor course, check it out in the description box below. It's very easy. You know, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Give it a try. Just solve this stifleness issue. If you want to go more realistic, which is what we're kind of going to do next week, check out the Watercolor Realism course. Everything is linked down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to awkwardly head over there to stop the live stream, and I will see you in the one next week. Until then, take care. There will be a video also on Saturday. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you so much, Adria. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Much appreciated. We'll talk soon.